I was actually having computer issues for.
Hey, what's up, social media family? It's me, Chris, your favorite host. Well, I might not be your favorite, but I'm not so concerned about that. So today's conversation is one that I've been looking for because whether it's working with coaching clients, DJing or entertaining at events, running rooms full of people, I've always believed that the real job isn't the job. It's service, hospitality, creating an experience people feel, not just consume. So what do people that are good in hospitality do? They read the room, they manage chaos, they handle emotions in real time, and somehow still manage to make it look easy. So today we've got the one, the only Yori Berlinski, to talk about what actually happens in restaurants, behind the bar, in the hospitality world, what the rest of us can learn about people, leadership, and showing up well, man. So thanks for popping in today, man. It's I know we've been talking about doing this for a little bit, and all the stars in the line. Yeah, got to see it for a little bit yesterday, pre-Super Bowl there. Let's tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Who is the man behind the industry?
Well, all right. So my name's Yori Berlinski. All right.
Right.
I've been doing this now and coming up soon in about 2 weeks because I'm turning 50. For 29 years. The big 50. It's weird to say that. But I've been in all kinds of like restaurants, hospitality, from your sports bars to your casual to your upper casual to your fine dining to your, healthier spots. So like I've done it all from serving, bartending, managing, I've run the whole kit and caboodle. So I've done it all, honestly, in Florida. I've spent some time in North Carolina and Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, working in the hospitality business. And it's weird, like from state to state, where it seems different, but it's all the same. It's more of the type of crowd, So that's where I'm at,
Yeah, the people. It's that's the biggest wild card in all this. How did you end up in this industry in the first place?
All right, so my first job ever was actually at 21. I needed a job. I just moved down to Florida from Philadelphia, and I was working at a bank. All right, and I met this guy. His name was Carlo. Carl and I were both going to leave the bank. I was on a temporary job. It was supposed to be like 2 weeks. Ended up being like 6 months. So I don't know if they liked me, so they kept me going there. I was selling those. If you had a certain amount in your account, those free coupon books they'll give you.
Yeah.
So I was doing that. And for some reason, I guess the people at the bank kind of liked me because they just kept me there. So, But then it was time to go. It's finally like the whole thing ran out. So me and my buddy Carlo, we kind of was like, well, we need kind of serving jobs. And I've never done it before. But I got the personality. I got the drive. I got the smile. I've got the comedy. I've got it all. So it's like
a hustle.
First thing is we went into Chili's. We were just there and then we just asked, you guys hiring? And they hired us both on the spot. So it was actually pretty cool. So that was my first job, was actually at Chili's. So I was singing song, the baby back ribs. We had to do all that. We happened to have someone in the kitchen who could do the baritone because someone actually asked for that song one time. So if we're talking about hospitality, I brought him out of the kitchen. I brought one of the other cooks. We got some like kind of pans. and we started singing the Chili's baby back rib, and he went barbecue sauce. So that's where it all kind of started for me, But that's where I first ended up. There, so that was a pretty good one. And then I kind of ran the gamut of working all around South Florida. To tell you the truth, every area is kind of different.
It certainly is. I mean, and it's kind of a nomadic place to be because rarely do you meet somebody that's actually from here. So I mean, you mentioned you're from Pennsylvania. I mean, I'm from New York. There's so many different kinds of people from different states, different countries, and it's definitely different. I mean, so that first shift at Chili's, man, what was it like? How bad were you? Were you bad? Was it?
Oh God, I was in my head. I thought I was amazing, like the best.
It was all personality,
reality,
right? All personality, no skill.
Yeah, reality kind of kicked in, and it was an expediter. His name was Jordy. I don't know if he's still around in South Florida, but he kind of like, when someone does something to you to kind of light that little fire in your butt. So he was kind of like, Yori, where the hell have you been? Are you gonna run any food? Are you gonna do anything? And I looked at this person, and two things came across my mind. It's like, one, am I gonna bitch slap him? That was number one. I was like, nah, I like my job. I don't want to do that. Or two, kind of be like, you know what, bro? You're going to call me out? The worst thing and best thing you've ever did. So he did that. And then from that moment forward, it kind of lit a fire. And I'm just like, bro, I was everywhere. I'm superstar. I got tables. I'm bussing. I'm running food. I'm doing all this, ringing drinks, doing everything. And then all of a sudden, it was like a week later, and the same person's like, Yori, bro, what happened? I go, you happen. I go, here's the thing. You're lucky I like you because you called me out, and old me would have probably like kind of slapped you with something louder. I said, but new me was like, you know what, man? Maybe I'm not doing as well as I'm thinking I'm doing. And that's where I kind of just lit the fuse of kind of like, I always use this as that, even with the bar or even with the restaurant, everything is one big table. All right. Sure. So I'm not just looking at particularly like say just you, Chris. I'm looking at you, Chris. I'm looking at that person, this person, this person, this person, that table. And I'm seeing what I could do to help because I could take care of you today and then say you come back in the next day, right? And then you get a different kind of service. And that's the one thing I never wanted a guest to ever have was something different. I want, we're all not the same, but if we could all still provide that service, it makes a difference. You know what I'm saying? But like after that, man, I just kind of got it. When sometimes you needed that kind of little like that. And that's what happened to me. So
because there a moment you could think that you had that realization, it might've been that moment or another one where you were like, man, this is more than just a job. I mean, particularly, in that bartending world where I had every job in the restaurant industry like yourself. Food running, you're kind of like, boom, you're dropping stuff after you're going back. Yeah. Then when you get in front of people and at a bar, you get someone sitting there and then you were like, man, this is more than just a job. People are coming to see you and people are, conversation. These things are meaningful to people. Was there a moment where you realized that it's not just a job?
There's a couple. There's a good amount of moments, and I'll start with like recent. I'll start with like okay, and you said it before in kind of like in your intro, kind of before we get on here. You came by yesterday because you saw me and you wanted to come visit. Super Bowl started and all that.
Sure.
There's a lot. They go to Hurricanes because they like Hurricanes. They also go to Hurricanes because they're familiar. And not to seem cheesy, but you want to have that Cheers-like atmosphere. Like my thing and my beauty about where I work is that if I see you walking up, I'm going to have your drink ready before you get to the bar because I have now very easy access where I could view you coming up and walking up. Mm-hmm. So, either what it is, if you're going to have a beer, if you have a Kona, if you rocks, I don't know if I'm spiraling. Okay. I didn't know what that was. All right. But I get those moments where then it's more than just making drinks, but then you become almost like you're part psychologist, part friend, part a little bit of this. So, like you get to know people. You get to know if they have kids. You get to know about where they work. You get to know if they're a real estate agent, a consultant, a plumber, install air conditioning, sells cars. There's so many things, part of my job, that I pay attention to. I know what kind of, team you like. I know, what normally you're going to eat, or what kind of food you're a fan of, or what you're allergic to. These are things you pick up throughout the years, and a lot of that has happened recently, but a lot of that was also happening like when I was at Miller's Ale House. I worked there for like 5 years. This is going back like 25 years ago. And I used to open up a lot of restaurants. So I got to travel Florida. I got to travel to North Carolina. I got to travel. So that aspect of like being part of a training team helped me kind of too, where I could speak in front of people and let them know what to expect. Let them know what guests are thinking about, anticipate needs, anticipate what they're going to want, and smile and be, approachable. And, that's the thing is that, a lot of people come to me about anything, about how to ring up a certain item, how to do this, how to do that. What TV is this thing on, or what can I, or what they're looking for, a specific kind of drink. They want something not too sweet, but this and that. And I could tell them, all right, let's go here. Let's go this. Let's do this, and that's like years of experience of kind of knowing certain guests and where exactly we are and what kind of restaurant I'm at, like I said, and I've worked at Bonefish Max. Unfortunately, they shut down. I was at Fort's Garage. That was a great concept that, I did Duffy's. I've done, I've kind of done the whole thing. Burton Max's in Delray, which is still around. Great place to go. Phenomenal restaurant in Delray Marketplace. Like I have friends that still work there. So he's actually gonna be listening to the podcast. So I kind of want to give him a little shout out, Joey. It's one of those where you just, when people come back, they're coming to see you and they're coming to see me. And it's what I bring to the table. It's, my smile. It's my, getting to know them, getting to know, what's going on in their life, getting to know like how their job's going, getting to know if they recently just got married or, things like that, and I take that to heart because I have a very vivid and really good memory. And even my son says, Donovan, he goes, Dad, a lot of people like it's literally, we can go anywhere in the United States and you run into somebody, and I was like, yeah, welcome to my world. And then especially being like a Philadelphia Eagles fan, it's kind of funny. You don't even have to know the person. I just say, go Birds. And he goes, Dad, you both said that in like unison. How does that happen? I go, that's all you have to say. He goes, but do you know them? I go, no, not really. We're just both Birds fans. And that's hello, goodbye. How are you? Good to see you. Maybe I'll see you later. Like one of those. It's so, but that's part of hospitality.
Well, how do you define hospitality? I mean, so you're on the training end of it, and I'm sure you injected some of this. I mean, in training the people that you've trained, when you were doing that, it's not just about how to use a POS system and about how to make and all that kind of stuff. I mean, so like, I'm sure you injected your definition of hospitality. Like, what does that really mean to you? I mean, what sets someone apart from being a server or bartender as opposed to someone who actually creates an experience?
The thing is like this is what are you going to do to make it memorable? What are you going to do? And it starts at all aspects. It starts from the initial greet. It starts from, like that smile. Listen, there's days, and everyone has them, where maybe you're just not having your best day. But you know what? Listen, you got to put that switch on. And sometimes guests are the same way, where they're not, I call it hangry. You know what I mean? I'm saying? So it's like, it's one of those where you want to make sure they're going to have fun. You want to make sure their experience for that 45 minutes to an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it is they stay, they remember they had a great time. So what it is, I always ask if this is your first time here, okay? Because then I kind of want to get them. It's almost like you're like a cruise director. I'm guiding them through the menu. I'm letting them know what we're known for. I'm letting them know what's very popular. I see what their likes are like, so, or dislikes are. And I try to, kind of guide them into like what area you need to be. And then drinks wise, I was like, I'd let them know from everything from our full liquor bar to what craft beers we have to what's on special. To the key is that every aspect of everything is being on top of them, smiling, interacting with them. And you kind of know, and you could tell, and I've been doing this long enough where there's some people that, what I'm saying, Chris, that don't really want you to talk to them. They kind of want to be left in their own little bubble, and that's fine. And then there's ones that want to engage, and then those are the ones like that. But even the ones that want to be left in their little bubble are still having a good time, but that's just how they are. You can't force, a hospitable moment, but they're going to enjoy everything because they're getting everything within the time that they asked for. So you're still not going to I might not throw some jokes, but I always make sure they have a refill. I always make sure that their salad or whatever, their food is coming out in time and they need anything at any moment, but I'm not being invasive, at the same time. And so hospitality it's just, when I was doing the training aspect was, and I'm speaking in front of 100 people, okay, are we having fun? Are you working together? Listen, everybody's different, but we all have the same goal, is to provide the best guest experience. And so if you're all working together and we're all a team, just because I'm taking care of these people at the bar today doesn't mean they don't go sit at your table tomorrow, So my level of hospitality and your level, we may not be in the same level, but we could still achieve the same goal. And so I always try to teach people is play up to your strengths. If there's something that you're weak on, ask or see what you can do to improve, and I try to tell people, even if they don't stay within the restaurant business, whatever you do in life, you could learn a lot from here, because wherever even if you go to real estate, to wherever you do, whatever this is that, it's still dealing with the public. It's still dealing with people, and, seeing what's suited for them and what they like. Because at the end of the day, you want them to be happy. You want them to come back. You want them to be regulars. You don't want them to just come in once and be like, it was all right. You want them to come in 2 to 3 times a week, or maybe even more. We have those kind of people now at my job at Hurricanes where they're there almost every day. They're there more than I am, and it's so, I almost want to get them to clock in. And I'm like, go sweep, do something for me. Like, good Lord, can you restock some beer? Like, come on, I need a little help back here. But
that's a lot of, it's a lot of skills involved. Let's talk about some of those things. Like, how do you read a room fast? How do you kind of look at who's there and, just jump right in and know what you're dealing with?
You kind of could tell. Body language is a big thing. Mm-hmm. Like I said, that's where the psychological aspect comes in. You're coming in, you could tell, you could see if someone's in their business suit. You could tell if someone's in a casual, more, just got out of work, or you could see people who just got off of work. Mm-hmm. So you're going to know that they want something. They'd be, hey, how are you, man? Welcome back. Even if you've never met them before. Sometimes I either like to say welcome back or like, hey, first time here, guys? No, we've been here before. And so you kind of could get a gist. I like to use kind of little key phrases to kind of mm-hmm. read of who, especially if I don't know who you are, of what do you like? So now, prime example, there's someone that works at the Polo Center. All right. He's actually leaving Wednesday morning, but he's here on a temporary time. He'll be back or whatever. He comes back, into Hurricanes now because of me, and not because I'm the almighty, but because I remember his drink. He drinks a Blue Moon. He does a shot of Tito's. Okay. He comes in. Yori, how are you? Hey, Andreas, how are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, how are you doing? But I've always got on top of it. I see him. Hey, Andreas, here's your Blue Moon. Hey, how was work today? You know what I'm saying? He's, it was good. It was busy. There was, at least 3,000 people. But, I was like, can I tell you something, man? I come back in here because you're always on top of everything. Even if you have nobody, or if you have a full bar with 3 deep, you always make sure I have my drink right on top of me. I said, well, Andreas says, that's part of the job. I was like, you're not going to come back if I'm not going to give you, what you need. And you're reading the room to know, what they like. You could tell, people that are wanting to, just sometimes they don't even have to talk to you, but even that little conversation means a lot to them. You know what I'm saying? That you learn their name and you know what they're doing. And that's hospitality. Listen, I get the a good friend of mine is the GM of Buffalo Wild Wings. All right.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing. We go back and forth, we see each other, but he's come in.
Oh yeah,
and I told you this.
I met him I think at Flanagan's. I bumped into him. If it's still the same guy, nice guy.
Yes, Cisco. He's a great guy. Love that man. He did the same thing. He'll work his shift, and he'll come in. And he did this on Sundays, and my Sundays were very busy for football. And man, I'm 3 deep, man. And he goes, he's going over there, and I look at him, and he's smiling, like he's smiling, because he's a general manager.
Yeah.
I go, Cisco, you all right? Are you good? You smiling? He goes, bro, I love you, man. I go, what do you mean? He goes, bro, you got this place handled.
Well, how do you handle stress when it gets slammed? I mean, how do you handle it and still deliver on that same level of hospitality and guest connection?
Great question. And so I know it's like that little old adage, never let them see you sweat. Yeah. Never change your facial expression. You don't, because if you start going like this, like, look, right now I'm smiling, but if I change my face like, oh my God, what the hell? What are we doing? Yeah. Like, bro, it's almost like lions or tigers in a zoo. They're gonna pounce and they're gonna see it and they're gonna get on you. But you never let that happen. You just go, hey guys, what do you need? I got you. Like, I always try to tell people, even people I don't know, even new guests, I go, listen, if you see that I'm busy, I'm always going to be busy. I said, but I'm never too busy to not get you a drink, to not get your food, and to not get your order. I said, just say my name. I got you. And then just let me know what you need. Like, and I'll remember everything, because in my head, it's kind of like a queue system, like kind of like almost like if if you do your tabs or whatever, you've got like 10 tabs going. You're like, all right, I got Chris coming up. I got Jason, I got Edgar, I got, Bonnie, I got, I got Tammy, I got this person, but I got to make all these drinks. You just have to do it. Sometimes you just buckle up, you smile, you get the glasses ready, you start making the drinks. There's numerous times in whatever job I've been at, I'm making at least 10 to 15 shots at a time. Okay. And they're like, Yori, how do you remember all that? I was like, I just do. I go, why? I said, because how many times do you come back? She goes, well, we're coming back a lot more often. I said, why? He goes, well, because you're on top of it. And you make sure I always have my drinks, and you always make sure the food comes out. And okay. And that's what it is. Like it's kind of simple, where I'm not going to make money. I'm not going to be in the business that I'm in the years that I've done it, if I'm not doing it at a level where people are going to come back. I'm not trying to say I'm the best. I'm not, but I'm good. I'm really good. And I love what I do. If I didn't love what I do, I would have left it a long time ago. But, but when you're hospitable, people remember who you are. Like, I still have people that I used to work with years ago that'll come in and be like, Yori, oh my God, thank you for training me. Or Yori, man, you were the best, man, when you were like the manager. And it was like, you always made sure we were okay. And I appreciate that. Like, the validation, I don't need the validation, but it's nice to hear. It's great to hear, to come back. Even like, regulars or people like that I used to take care of in jobs in like Boca or down south in Broward. And I happen to see him out, and man, I miss when you were bartender or, serving me, man. You always get everything right. I never had to worry about it. I would sit down. You'd have my food pretty much almost at the table before I like pulled in my chair. And that's what you want to do. Like, you need to. People sometimes when they see that you care, it means a lot. And I care. And I want you to make sure that you're good. I want to make sure that you're coming back to see me. I want to make sure that you're telling your friends about me, because that's how I make money. That's how I, feed my son. That's how I, stay in my house. It's not, magic, it's hospitality. It's just being good with people. And that's the thing, is when you're good with people, good things happen. It's kind of a simple thing. So
you would think it's simple. It's funny though, because I don't know if it's even an age thing, but it's sometimes a younger generation, man. I've been places and you you walk up to a counter service place, or I mean, even at the airport, sometimes you get this, and you walk up and you walk up to a bar, people, and somebody's back there and they're rolling their eyes at you. And they're just like almost annoyed to have like a customer client. I mean, when I love it, I'm like, oh man, I was so bored. Thank you. Someone is here,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
how do you deal with the difficult or emotional guests without taking it personally?
That's the thing is, I think when I was younger, I took it a little more personal. But then once I realized that they're not angry at me, they're angry at what's going on in their life, and they're angry at what's happening at their job, or they're angry with their significant other. There have been times, Chris, I was working at a place called Harvest Seasonal Grill, and it's a great story. So everything was on a healthier aspect. We were doing a healthier version of a Caesar salad where it had shaved romaine, shaved kale, grilled chicken, some spinach, stuff like that. So the guest was in with like two women. He was an older, and these two women were, I don't want to get into it, but let's just say probably shouldn't have been with this man. That's all I'm saying. And then he goes, well, can I just do like all romaine? And I go, well, sir, it's just shaved romaine. I said, we do enough so we could serve a certain amount of dishes. If I do all shaved romaine, per the chef, I'm like, we're not going to have anything left for the rest of the guests. So unfortunately, I can't do that. He goes, and can I curse on the show or no? I don't know.
No, it doesn't matter to me, man. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I don't know. I want to make sure. He goes, I don't fucking care what your fucking chef says.
Oh,
I want fucking all romaine. I said, well, sir. I said, sir, I don't know if you're trying to impress these women. I said, but the last thing you want to do is curse at me over a Caesar salad. You seem kind of foolish. I said, I go, I'm telling you, he's not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to go ask him if he can do it because he literally told me that we're not going to do it. Go ask him. Go fucking say it. I want to fucking hear your mouth. I said, all right, well, you just cursed at me for the second time. Yeah. I said, there's not going to be a third. I could just tell you that right now. So then he goes to get up, right? He gets in my face. I said, sir, are we going to really fight about a Caesar salad? I said, because I don't really want to embarrass you in front of your two women. Finally he goes to go like this. I go grab his hands because he's about to shove me. I said, sir, I would suggest you either leave or sit back down. I'm going to go get my general manager. And the thing is, no one's going to put their hands on me. And bro, you're going to fight me about a Caesar salad? Like, come on, man. Like, seriously? Like, I'm not having sex with your wife. It's a salad. It's a salad. And I'm going, once I got the general manager, the person left. And when I told the story to the general manager and the chef, he goes, I'm really surprised you contained yourself and da-da-da. I said, bro, I'm not getting fired for a Caesar salad. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm like, if it was a wedge, maybe. I'm just kidding. No, but it's like it's one of those where people will just want to argue with you about something, or they're like, another woman was like, I gave her a $50 bill and she shortchanged me. I said, ma'am, I could check. I checked the cameras. You didn't give her a $50 bill. Well, how do you know that? I said, well, ma'am, what I'm going to do now, and she's in my face. I go, ma'am, just step back for a sec. I go, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her off the bar. I'm going to count her drawer. And then when I realize that and I'll do it in front of you, actually, when the drawer is fine and up to where it needs to be, the only thing that's going to happen is I'm just going to ask you to politely leave and to never come back in here again. The thing is like this is that what you don't want to do is you don't want to fight people. You don't want to don't get me wrong. There have been times where I've had to stop fights and I've had to
unspoken thing. It's kind of like an unspoken thing about the industry.
But you could say to someone, don't do it. And then, people just going to do it. And then you got to throw them out. But I just try to do my best and really not get into confrontations with guests because you're better off, honestly, so it is what it is,
That's right. So, I mean, what are some of the little things that that you do that customers don't even notice, but totally change that experience?
God, I think it's just,
behind the curtain,
Yeah. It's, with certain guests like certain things a certain way. And I make sure, and there's two that I love, but I make sure like this woman's fries are very hot because she's gonna send them back. You know,
So
she's
the same
gonna.
woman every time. She always wants them
Same woman,
hotter,
and I go,
more
hey,
well done, whatever.
make sure that they're hot. Or I also make sure too, like I tend to now, not that I try to be friends with people, but if I'm like Facebook friends or I have their phone number, if someone say drinks Angry Orchard or White Claw, and I know I'm running low on them, and I know that they're coming in, hey, hey Shelby, I'm just letting you know I got like 4 Angry Orchards left. All right, I'm gonna hold them for you, but I'm letting you know you're gonna probably have a 5th drink, and it's not there.
Yeah.
So you try to do the little things of like, save them a seat, make sure they got what they need, pre-order their food, and I try, there's one of my good buddies, Edgar, like on a Friday night, he goes bowling, and I try to tell him, I said, look, man, try to get your to-go food in at 10 o'clock because we're closing at 11, last call at 10:30. Don't call me at 10:30. Call me at 10 so I can make sure by the time you get out of bowling, everything's in. He does that. Yori, I need, wings because he gets them extra crispy and stuff like that. And I was doing that before when I was at Ale House, when I was at Duffy's, when I was at Brews Room. Same thing. Like, Brews Room, and we used to like run like the little, the bar poker tables, and I still have my friends from there. And unfortunately, all those locations have since closed down. But that was a great time. Ohio State, Michigan, where we're doing $25,000 in sales, and it's not even noon yet, and it's not even the game has started. And I have a truck full of like bottled beer, and we're selling, buckets like it's like really like butter, and you try to make sure that every guest you come in contact with, you just know what they need. You know what they're going to have. You know what they like. You try to make sure if they want something on ice, make sure it's on ice. If they want like a particular drink, make sure we have those ingredients. If they like their food a certain way, let that kitchen know. Hey, da 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 da, and then they know. And she's like, I know who she is, and they go like that. When you get even the cooks and you get the staff trained, like we have, not that because they're a problem, but because they're coming back here for a reason. Because I'm making sure that their stuff is coming out right, and that's what you have to do at the end of the day. So,
what do you think every entrepreneur or business leader out there, what would they learn if they had to work a year in the hospitality industry?
Appreciate who you have.
Yeah, it's customer wise or employee wise, team wise.
Both. Appreciate your guest and appreciate your staff.
Yeah.
And the reason is once you're able to kind of say, walk a day in their shoes, then you kind of get to know who they are, And I always try to tell anyone that either owns a business or starts off in a business is get to know your guests, get to know your coworkers. You don't need to be best friends, but just get to know them, because I can tell what their strengths are. I can tell what their weaknesses are, and they could kind of do the same with me. And kind of, if an entrepreneur worked as a cook, worked as a server, worked as a host, worked as a bartender, you kind of get to know all aspects. You get to know what to expect and how your staff is feeling at the time.
True.
Then as a guest, get to know who your guests are. Get to know who your regulars are. Where do they live? Are they down the street? Hey, maybe I need to market in the Grand Isles or White Cliff, or Legend Lakes. There's so many new communities opening up, Chris, in and around here, as you know.
Yeah, I live in Legend Lake.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But get to know where they are. Get to know.
It's like the underlying lesson. It's like the underlying lessons. Be curious about people, just in even the people you work with, the people, your customers, your clients.
Because the curiosity, it helps because that shows interest. Now I'm showing interest of what you do. I'm showing interest of the person you are and what you like. I'm showing interest of like it. When any person shows that they care, it
Mhm.
means a lot to the other person. You know, like I said, you don't have to be like this, but like it shows like at least when you're at least feigning some sort of interest of what they like and what they don't like, it means a lot to them. So
Yeah, I think too. I think there's a difference too when you actually care and you're actually curious, which you are, and that
yeah,
shows, rather than someone that's like putting it on and doesn't really care. That's just going through the motions just because they feel like it's something that they have to. So, I mean,
I
let me
can
let me
never.
ask you,
Go ahead.
it's there's a lot of it out there, right? It's a lot of this kind of I have to put it on. I have to do it because I have to do it. Like we're
Mhm.
talking about love what you do. I mean, that's actually, my company when I started Dream Key Consulting, that was my thing. I
Yeah.
think everybody should just love what they do. And there's too many people that don't. So do something else, right?
Right.
Let me ask you this. If someone wants to get better at service, just in general, where should they start?
Honestly, find the top dog in the place. Find that person, male or
Someone that's
female.
delivering at a high level that you admire, like someone
Yeah,
that's,
and go and sometimes people. Here's the thing, and some people are great leaders but not teachers, and some people can't be leaders but are great teachers. And you need to find that person that's both. And so you need to find someone that's a leader but can also teach you and has patience, because a lot of it too, and why I trained a lot of this guy, I'm very patient. And I think I was also patient before I even had my son. Patience is a virtue. And I always try to tell whatever staff I'm with or wherever I'm at, it's like, if you have a question, I'd rather you ask me before you do something wrong.
love
And
that. Yeah.
so to anybody that's trying to be a better server, a better bartender, a better this person, get to know who that top person is, and say, listen, I know if it you don't have to do this, but I would like to kind of learn to try to better myself. And I know, and I can recognize that you're that person, you know, what are some helpful tips, And I would say the same thing. I would be like, listen, man, get to know who your guest is, get to know what they like, get to know about their family, get to know, you know, the ins and outs of like where they work and what they do, and just get to know them. And if you know them, if you know what they like, if you know what's going on, listen, I've went on vacation with, one of my regulars who's also a good friend, because his son and my son are the same age. We went to Orlando together. But you know how I got to do that? Because I got to know him. I got to know what he does. I got to know he has a child same age as my son. And they both have similar interests. You know what I'm saying? And so, but then also too, I've had people. I remember great story. I was living in Asheville, North Carolina. I worked at a place called Juicy Lucy. Okay.
Yeah. What a cool spot, by the way. Yes. I like that.
Yes. And so my thing was, the general manager didn't have confidence in me. And then, the owner / general manager. And then one of the managers, her name was Joyce, got to know me. She was from South Florida too, happened to move up there because her parents moved up there. She goes, man, I like this Yori guy, man. He's got it. He knows what he's doing. And my thing was, if you want to learn how to sell to someone in North Carolina, because that's a sell. I'm dealing with well done burgers. I'm dealing with ranch like it's going out of style. But then I got to know them. And then you get to know who they are. Hey guys, you know what really start off great with your meal? Some fried pickles. Fried pickles in the South is like it's like escargot. It's like caviar. Okay, they eat them. Then we had a shake bar, so we do alcoholic shakes and we have normal shakes. I'm selling the parents alcoholic shakes for dessert. I'm selling the kids shakes as well, in the cold, in 20 degrees. And then finally, I had these two girls come up to me. They're like, Yori, can we ask you something? I was like, yeah, what's up? Joyce said we should come to you. I said, oh, everything okay? Goes, no, we want to learn how to get better. And it was like, we see that like you can sell to anybody. I said, well, the thing is, you got to paint a picture. You got to use some descriptive words. You got to let them know that you're going to be missing out if you don't get this. because then you're going to want to tell your friends and you're going to want to come back and get it again. I go, so when you're selling, you have to, even if you've never had it, say, it's probably one of the most popular items we have here at Juicy Lucy. If you don't get the stuffed burger, then you're really kind of missing out. Or our shakes are to die for. I know it's maybe 10 degrees outside, but if you don't leave here in the car with a shake, you're going to be hating life. You want something to talk about tomorrow in school. You want something to talk about tomorrow at work when you're at the water cooler going, hey, you got to try this like peanut butter jelly shake and I'm telling these girls this and they're like, wow, oh my God. And then they started to improve. So they come back to me about a couple weeks later, like, Yori, can we thank you? I go, for what? You've helped us. We've been making now a lot more money. I said, well, you're welcome. That we're all here to make money, man. Anything I could do to help. Like, I don't, like we're all cut from the same pie. You know what I'm saying? I'm just a slice, you're a slice, and so I'm here to help you. And when you start making money, makes me feel even better. You know what I'm saying? I love it,
Success for others. Yeah, that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So, yeah, but thanks for sharing all this stuff with us. I just, there's one more thing I want to ask you. I think, I mean, we covered a lot of ground here, but what's one piece of advice for anyone who wants to be better with people in general?
Great question. What's one piece of advice better with people? Honestly, I've said it before. It's understanding. And I say understanding is you want to understand where they're coming from. You want to understand who they are. You want to understand where they've been in life. You want to understand where they've come from. When you understand someone, you don't have to get them, but understand them, because there's two different things. Like, I understand what you do, Chris. I understand why you're doing the things you do. I understand why you're using this platform to not only help others, but to promote people. When you understand someone, means a lot. And when you understand that people love to be taken care of because it's their getaway from the real world, not that restaurants in a fake world, but we're not on some Bravo show, it's not the real housewives. But when you understand that for that time that you're with me, I'm going to make sure that you're having the best time possible. I
love that. Yeah. So you seek first to understand, man. I think that's such a great piece of advice, a great rule, but it's weird how these seem like simple things. Some people are going to be hearing this and be like, yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And then but others, it's so foreign for them. It's people are just looking for that next way to make a buck. But thank you for doing what you do and embracing all this, man, and sharing your wisdom and your stories with us today, man. Really appreciate it. Just pop and see you soon. If somebody wants to stop by and say hello to Yori, where can they find you?
They can find me at Hurricane Grill and Wings on 4075 South State Road at the corner of Lake Worth and 441. We're in the Walmart shopping center. We're in the corner. Come see me. I'm there Tuesday through Friday night and Sunday double. Especially if you're listening to the show and I don't know you, please feel free to say hi. I'd love to hear whoever's been listening to this. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thanks so much for sharing this today. We'll see you outside in the real world. And thanks for joining us in the virtual world here. And peace out, everybody. Until next time.
Bye. Thank you, Chris. Have a good one. Bye, guys.